Well, all right, everybody. Hello and happy Monday. So if you're joining me right now, this is Monday Sprint Planning. My name is E.R. Wolf over here at LFI, and we want to talk about getting into activity and really making our plan for the week. Sanders, it's good to have you on. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, whether you're on the YouTube live stream or you're joining me on Zoom, you can feel free to raise your hand to come forward or write something in the chat. I'd encourage you as well to post in your digital business card link so we can all network together and make sure we're connected and have our cards in each other's card index. So let's talk about it. We're starting a new week off. Hopefully everybody had an amazing weekend and had an opportunity to will, still, and refill over the Easter weekend. And everybody enjoyed that. And then let's talk about moving into our week ahead. I know last week we talked a little bit about goals and action items, and hopefully you've started to flush out what your goals are and what those action items are and broken them down to daily action items and weekly action items. Now, what we really want to be focused on is what is the systems and process you're going to put into place. And we're talking on a daily basis to help you reach those goals, to help you make forward progress towards your goal. And Guy, I know you and I have talked quite often on this. You have a quote that you use all the time and have lived by for a while, and it's take care of the little things and the big things take care of themselves. I think we've all heard that in one way or another, but what does that mean? That means you're going to implement a process daily, right? If Guy wants to do a workout program, he doesn't do all the workout programs all in one day. He breaks it down. He has a daily program or process that he runs as part of that bigger, longer effort. And that's really what we're talking about here across all areas in the wheel of life. It is, what is the process and what systems am I going to put in place daily that will help lead me down this path of achieving the goals that I've set out? And let's just look at that from a 1 week perspective. We don't have to worry about what we're going to be doing next week. Once we lay down our week this week, we're not even going to be worrying about what we have on Friday till Friday comes. We're just going to take it one day at a time. So Guy, I don't know if you have anything to add on this, and then obviously we can open it up for any questions.
From processes and systems, that's going to be the element that's going to get people to success or whatever they're trying to achieve, is making sure that they follow one. If you have one and you don't follow it, then really are you implementing? And implementation obviously is the key attribute to systems, processes. You can pay for something nice and shiny, right? You can buy a nice shiny car or have a really beautiful home, but if you don't live with it in it, if you don't drive it, then what good is it for you? It just happens to be every element like that happens in our lives, that if you have something, implementation, using it, utilizing it, is going to be the thing that's going to help you reach your goal, help you reach the success that you're trying to attain. And that's basically all I got with that.
Yeah, Guy, but I think it's so important because you mentioned like having a tool and not using it, or having a process and a system and not using it is pretty much a waste. You guys have these amazing tools at your disposal, the functionality that's contained within Shuffle and within Tap, and you want to make sure that you're using it in your daily method of operation. Same thing with whatever your outreach process is. You want to identify what that process, what that system is going to be for your outreach, as well as for your follow-up, as well as for your networking, as well as for how you schedule your time blocks, or when you're supposed to come in and jump on calls, etc. You want to execute on the system or the process that you're following. And Guy, I think that's so critical, right? You want to identify a process or a system that's going to support you. Once you've identified that, you need to understand and learn that process or system so that you can implement it. Then Guy, to your point, implementation is the number one factor of whether you're going to be successful or not in following that system or process. I can almost guarantee you everybody who fails never had a process to begin with, to some degree, or failed to execute on the process that they had. And then sort of the last topic, if you've been implementing a process or a system there's an aspect of optimization that comes into play over time. I think the first goal is you've got to implement something, right? Something is better than nothing. Any action is better than no action at all, as you would hear. But once you are taking action, you want to reflect on the results of that action, and you want to continue to dial in your process over time. James Clear, I think, guy in the book, Atomic Habits, would talk about just making incremental 1% improvement on a daily basis of something you do all the time. So maybe you block out time every day to do your outreach. I want to reach out to new contacts, new leads that I've gathered, new people I met from last week, some of that type of stuff. You have a process that you go through to do that. Maybe you clear out your work area, you get your phone in front of you, you get your information from your notes pulled up, and you start going through and making your successive outreach calls. And then you log, left a message or talk to them and what was the note, etc. That's your process, right? And then every day you commit to that process, you want to look for incremental areas where there's room for improvement. Maybe it's the way you open up the phone call. Maybe it's the way you're asking the questions in the course of the calls. You'll start to develop what your process or pattern is and optimize that. But before you can get to that area, you have to implement a process to begin with. And I think everything, Guy, this is what astounds me, is everything that we do can have a process, right? You can do it willy-nilly, or you can do this it the same way each time. And when you do things the same way each time, you get to the point where they're almost, you can do them with your eyes closed,
Right. It's practicing those. It's putting in the work, putting in the effort to make sure that whatever process system you're wanting to implement to reach that success or that goal is practice. From athletic backgrounds, practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And making sure that I am perfecting every step of the way in whatever I'm doing, from an introduction to sharing information to following up, to inviting, to whatever it is, I've got a system that I've practiced enough times, to your point, it becomes second nature. It becomes part of my daily method of operation. And I think with technology, we see that there's so much evolving that you have to evolve. You have to stay with the times. It's almost like evolution. If you don't evolve, you die. You stay where you are. If you don't advance, you die. So making sure that whatever process system you're practicing enough, you're putting in the perfect practice that you can evolve, that you can reach those success milestones, and making sure that you can talk about it with others and be a living example of what you do every day to your loved ones, to people around you, to ones that are looking up to you, and making sure that your effort, your work is recognized compared to the latter of the other recognition of, well, I don't see much happening here. So make sure that what you're putting out there, what you're practicing, is going to be well received. Make sure that it can be identified as a success strategy, and you can advance that forward, and other people will most likely see that there's value with it and can also identify that there's a system or a process that might work best for them to reach that success or goal.
Well, and Guy, we talked about the system and the process and identifying that and starting to implement that. I think the other thing as well is committing to that, and obviously you and I have talked about, like, what does it mean to commit to something? There's an old saying that when they landed the ships on the shore, they went out and they burned all the ships. Guys, that's committing, right? The ship dropped us up on shore. We're moving forward, not backwards. We've sort of burned the ships. Commit to your process, right? And don't commit to your process in a way where it's like, I'm just going to do it today. Commit to it for a month, 3 months, 12 months, etc. And say, I'm going to commit to this process. I'm going to give it a fair shakedown and an opportunity to prove its results to me. And I will be diligently working through that process. And as Edwin would say, being relentlessly consistent in the implementation of that daily process or that daily system. And I can assure everybody just from my own personal experience that when you do that, you'll see over time you build momentum. Like now it becomes habitual where you're doing it almost second nature. You optimize your process to where you become more consistent with how you're doing it, and it becomes more effortless over time because you've started to do it. So you've practiced it, to your point, so many times. And then in the early days, continuing to course adjust while you practice to optimize your results. Again, maybe you're going to find out, wow, when I do my follow-ups in the morning on Tuesdays, I seem to get a hold of a lot more people than when I do it on Wednesday evening. Okay, great. Then this process of doing it this way, following this system at this time, is going to yield me some results. And you just look at it from your own perspective. And this is why we measure things, so that we can come back and we can course adjust.
Right. Yep. Like you say, commit to the process. If you're committing to the process, you need to commit to yourself. You need to commit to yourself and hold yourself accountable for each one of those. So, getting into our sprint planning and knowing what we have available for everybody this week, we're here on sprint planning, setting you up for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, what that looks like for you within the LFI Nation. We have training tomorrow with Kathy. It's a great training, Tech Tuesday, Tech Tuesday at 2. Every Tuesday within that Zoom, you select and launch and you can join. We encourage people to participate in Mindset of a Champion with Michael and Edwin on Wednesday evenings. ER always hosts a great roundtable, many topics of discussion that come up in that every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central. And then Friday with the founders, that's the culmination of our week, how we wrap up, come in and see what commitment people have put in, how their week has come full circle, and hopefully have advanced forward. We've talked about at ER for a long time about Shuffle, LFI as a business, as an opportunity, and as a solution. And knowing that there's so many elements that come into play when you talk about Shuffle, but understanding that it is the lead introduction aspect that almost anybody can use in any business to get information about themselves or their business out about others. You all know about CRMs, customer client contact relationship management tools. In order to have contacts, you need to have a way to pull them in, some type of funnel, some type of contact element. So that's where LFI and Shuffle comes perfectly with in any business, any relationship, any networking, anything out there that you're trying to drive more eyeballs to your information, to your products, your services, your opportunities. This is the lead product. And I think, we've talked about it. We're on a mission to get this into everyone's hands, and we encourage everybody. There's no challenge. We just encourage people to participate with us. At a minimum, get the free version in everyone's hands. They can see the power of it. If they utilize it, if they get support, if they come into this awesome network where they get so much support and advice, they're going to see the value of how Shuffle can be a premium solution to get all their information out about their products and services, and encourage them to also talk about it as well. So that's sort of what I had for this week to start off our sprint planning. And ER, you can wrap it up or keep going.
No, I think that's sort of it, Guy. We come on every Monday just for the sole purpose of encouraging you guys to make a plan, right? Guy and I are relentlessly consistent on implementing our systems and our process. And what I love is every day is a new day. So even if you haven't done this in the past, maybe you've joined us for a while, but you've never committed to making a plan for the week, or maybe you're watching this and you made a plan, but you didn't really stick to it or implement it. Again, this is a new start. It's a fresh day. Everybody has an opportunity to come on and really reset their week and make a plan moving forward. And that's all we're trying to encourage people on this call for is to come in and make your plan. What are the next 7 days going to look like for you? What are you going to do the same or different than you did last week? And how are you going to measure against that to show that you're making forward progress? So that's the whole goal of these calls. If there are any questions, feel free to raise a hand if you need any help or support in this. We want to help and support you. That's the whole goal behind this as a community of people who come together to help and support each other. So, Guy, with that being said, if there aren't any questions or any hands on anything like that, everybody has their plan for the week. Put your plan into action. Ruben, did you have something to add to the conversation?
Yes, I think I just reached out to Rich, and they said they're working on it. The date was for tomorrow, so that's a reply that I got. Okay.
Oh, great.
And then another question: just before I came on board here, I had my computer open. All of a sudden, I got this message: Microsoft, there's been some kind of corruption or whatever. Don't turn off your computer. How often does that come up? Does Microsoft do that?
It must be a Microsoft thing. I do not know about what might be running on your computer or whatnot, to be honest, Ruben. From
I ran the scan. I ran the scan after that, and they said there was no malware. But I was just wondering, they wanted me to call a number.
Yeah, do not trust that type of stuff. You know what I mean?
Okay,
be aware and careful of that. And honestly, I'm on a Mac, so we don't encounter much of that at all, especially the Microsoft issue things. But be aware, tech security and vulnerability is out there, and you have to use some common sense when people are reaching out to you or saying, call this number or do this thing, that you go back in through the right channels to make sure you're protecting yourself and your digital, privacy, etc.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Outside of that, Rose Michelle, Sanders, anything you guys have that you need help on or anything? You good? Okay. Sounds good. Well then, guys, make it an amazing week. Okay, we've got Tech Tuesday tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central, as Guy mentioned. We've got the encouragement on Wednesday for the Mindset of the Champion. Thursday, mastermind call. If you guys have ideas for topics that you want to discuss, we're happy to pick a topic and stick to that topic. And then Friday with the founders to go through all things LFI. If you do need anything, reach out to somebody or reach out to the social groups and the social community, and make sure you get the support that you need.
Great. Have a good day.
Have a great one, everyone. Take care.